Prime Minister Narendra Modi and China's President Xi Jinping meet on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in South Africa. The Indian government says the two leaders agreed on de-escalation along the line of actual control and asked their officials to intensify efforts towards disengagement. The BRICS grouping invites 6 countries to be its full-time members from next year. India welcomes the move to invite Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Argentina, UAE and Saudi Arabia to join the grouping, saying it's also a message to other institutions to change with changing times. India's chess prodigy R. Pragya, who had managed to draw 2 matches in the Chess World Cup final, ultimately loses to the great Magnus Carlsen in the tiebreakers. Still upbeat, he tells NDTV he now wants to eat some South Indian food. And ISRO says the Pragyan rover mobility operations have commenced and all activities are on schedule after the historic landing of Chandrayaan-3. The rover now has 14 days to gather crucial data. As the ISRO chief tells NDTV, there's a huge amount of scientific possibilities on the moon's south pole. And we'll get you the top news stories. Our lead story: Prime Minister Narendra Modi met the Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in South Africa's Johannesburg. The Indian government has said that the two leaders agreed on de-escalation along the line of actual control and asked their officials to work at resolving their border dispute quickly. Listen in to what the Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra said while explaining what the two leaders discussed.
In a conversation with President Xi Jinping of China, Prime Minister highlighted India's concerns on the unresolved issues along the LAC in the western sector of the India-China border areas. Prime Minister underlined that the maintenance of peace and tranquility in the border areas and observing and respecting the LAC are essential for the normalization of the India-China relationship. In this regard, the two leaders agreed to direct their relevant officials to intensify efforts at expeditious disengagement and de-escalation.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and China's President Xi Jinping had a conversation on the sidelines of BRICS summit. Now, this was not a structured bilateral dialogue as was being expected, but a conversation which happened while PM Modi was also interacting with other leaders, BRICS leaders present there. So this conversation has happened. PM has expressed his concerns about the situation at LAC, and it has been conveyed what India expects. And as Foreign Secretary said, that both the leaders have agreed that there should be expeditious disengagement and de-escalation, and the officials will be directed about it. But just before that, before PM left for South Africa tour, before this, the 19th commander level talks also happened regarding the LAC situation. Unlike the previous one, the 18th one, there was a joint statement which was identical from both the sides, but no forward movement happened on that. Even before that, during the Bali G20 summit, on the sidelines of it, both the leaders had a conversation about normalizing relationship, which India accepted after, India also confirmed after some time, but there was no forward movement. Now, this conversation also has happened where India has clearly said, PM Modi has clearly said in this conversation what India expects, and there is an agreement. It seems there is an agreement, but it is still to be seen whether this translates to the situation on ground. In New Delhi, Kadambini Sharma for NDTV.
And another major announcement that was made at the BRICS summit this time, the grouping that gets its name from the countries that are members of it, which are Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. They have decided to invite 6 more countries to be the grouping's full-time members. This was announced on the final day of the summit in South Africa, and India has welcomed the move, saying it's also a message to other institutions to change with the changing times. Megha gets us more details.
One of the biggest outcomes of the 15th BRICS summit in South Africa is the expansion of the bloc, an issue that was being deliberated upon for the last couple of years without any outcome. BRICS is now set to welcome new partners. Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates out of the 23 countries who had submitted their application to become part of the bloc. And in this far-reaching decision, India has taken a lead by bringing about a consensus on the membership criteria and selecting new members. India was guided by the objective of bringing in countries that are strategic partners. In this first in-person summit of the BRICS in 4 years, the last being held in 2019, Prime Minister Modi highlighted before the member countries a few major achievements of India in recent years that is expected to propel us to one of the biggest economies in the world in near future. While India is already the fastest growing major economy in the world, it is expected to hit the 5 trillion mark by 2026-27 as per the IMF's forecast. PM spoke about how India has focused on public service delivery, good governance in the last decade and the remarkable use of UPI at all levels that has turned India into the country with the highest digital transaction in the world. India has also attempted to bring issues like climate change, digital connectivity, food security back on the table and seek the cooperation of developed Western countries for the same, along with pushing for reforms in international institutions like the United Nations Security Council, all of which got reflected in the Johannesburg Declaration. BRICS Summit has adopted the Johannesburg Declaration, Partnership for Inclusive Multilateralism, Fostering an Environment of Peace and Development, Partnership for Mutually Accepted Growth, Partnership for Sustainable Development, Deepening People-to-People Exchanges, Institutional Development, Support a Comprehensive Reform of the UNSC. The leaders also agreed on further exploring the idea of payments in local currencies, another idea that India has been pushing, as Task Force will submit its report on this at the next summit.
And after completing his engagements in Johannesburg relating to the BRICS summit, the Prime Minister will travel to Athens in Greece for an official visit on the 25th of August at the invitation of the Prime Minister of Greece. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also lay the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier there, and the Prime Minister will also interact with the Indian diaspora in Greece. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the first Prime Minister in the last 40 years, the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Greece. The last prime ministerial visit from India to Greece was in the year 1983. Moving on now to the other big story, India's 18-year-old chess prodigy Pragya Nanda lost to the 5-time world championship winner and the 32-year-old Norwegian chess superstar Magnus Carlsen in a nail-biting tiebreaker. India watched closely as Pragya Nanda fought hard but ultimately lost in the tiebreaker after 2 previous matches ended in a draw. For Carlsen, who has been at the top of the sport for over a decade now, the victory was significant as it was his first ever World Cup title. He has now won the one title that was missing from his illustrious cabinet. Pragya Nanda, meanwhile, can keep his chin up as he beat high-ranked opponents, world number 2 and world number 3, to become the second Indian after the great Vishwanathan Anand to enter the Chess World Cup final. My colleague Rika Roy caught up with the man of the moment for an exclusive interview where his mother and sister also joined. Listen.
To reroute these 2 nights.
Even though Carlsen won the World Cup final, Pragya finished second. It is a massive, massive achievement for the young Indian who is with us at this hour. Many congratulations for reaching this far, Pragya. Tell us your experience of the last 3 days. We know 4 grueling games, 2 in the classical format, 2 in the rapid format. Tell us about your emotions right now.
Okay, it was not about not only the finals, but I've been playing for 4 weeks already. So of course I'm exhausted. But yeah, to finish second in this such a strong event and also the prestigious one, yeah, it feels really good, and I feel like I've also played very, very good chess overall in the last 1 month.
Pragya, even though the matches were grueling, we saw that there has been, a camaraderie that has developed between you and Magnus Carlsen. On the sidelines, you've been sharing a lot of light moments. Tell us a little bit about, the camaraderie between you and Magnus Carlsen and some of the, thoughts that both of you shared.
No, it was just about discussing chess. He's the best player in the world, and I always try to discuss about chess whenever I get opportunity with him. And we were playing in the same team 2 months back in Global Chess League. So I was trying to discuss about chess there as well.
Well, Pragya, at this hour we also have your sister Vaishali, who has also been playing some magnificent chess with you. Vaishali, would you like to say anything to Pragya at this moment? He is listening to you.
I just had a short call with him just before after today's match and just before the interview. So, I'm very proud of him that he came this far, and congrats to Pragya.
Vaishali, when the match went into the third day and into the tiebreaker, did you think that your brother had a real chance against Magnus Carlsen?
Oh yes, definitely. In the last few tie breaks, he has been giving a tough fight. I mean, he was winning the matches also. Like, he's been playing some brilliant chess, and especially holding his nerves and his defensive skills whenever he had worse positions. So I was definitely hoping for the best. But yeah.
Pragya, I'll talk to you a little bit about the two matches that you played today. The first one, it was done in 47 moves. The second one done much earlier. Tell us a little bit about the first one. How did you hold your opponent, Magnus Carlsen, until that 42nd move?
Yeah, it was not about holding him to there. I think, I had a good position, and then I kind of misplayed it. And whenever he gets a chance, he's always ruthless. And he was today as well. And I could have maybe defended a bit better, but it's always difficult. And
I actually would like to request both Prag and Vaishali to speak about their mother. Gary Kasparov has been talking about Madam. Please tell us the kind of support that she's been giving you all this while, Prag.
Yeah, of course, it's a great support for both of us. She has been traveling with us to all the events, and especially here because it's a very, very tough event. You never know when you can get knocked out, and it has been 4 weeks since we are here. She's been a huge support.
And let's now also listen into what India's chess legend, 5-time world chess champion Vishwanathan Anand had to say about this match. He calls the loss not a one-off result, and he calls Pragnananda a new chess star.
Pragnananda has had a sensational performance. He fought well. Even getting to the tiebreak was a very good result. And today, I think at the end of the tournament, fatigue got up. He has played so many excellent games recently, including before the World Cup in Hungary and the Global Chess League, that it's not a one-off result. I believe that we are seeing a new star, and he has a very bright future because he has now something very specific to aim for, to qualify for the World Championship match in the Candidates Tournament next April.
Moving on to the other big story now. After Chandrayaan 3's historic landing on the moon's south pole, the Vikram lander and the Pragyan rover, carrying 6 scientific payloads between them, now have 1 lunar day, which is equal to 14 Earth days, to gather enough data to satisfy the curiosities of scientists across the world, as this, of course, is the first spacecraft ever to land on the south pole of the moon. Meanwhile, ISRO has released new images of the moon captured by the Vikram lander just prior to touchdown. Those are the images that ISRO has released in the latest round of images released as they were captured by Chandrayaan 3, the Vikram lander. Now, ISRO has also confirmed, meanwhile, that all activities are on schedule, all systems are normal, and the rover mobility operations have commenced. Now, while Chandrayaan-3 scripted history and entered uncharted territory in space, making India the first country to have a spacecraft on the South Pole of the moon, Chandrayaan-3 was also breaking records right here on planet Earth. The live stream of the Vikram lander's touchdown on Wednesday on ISRO's YouTube channel was watched by over 80 lakh people at the same time on YouTube, beating the previous holder of the record by over 18 lakh. According to a tracker, the match between Brazil and Croatia during the FIFA World Cup in December 2022 had been watched together by around 61.5 lakh people, and that broke the previous record that was on number 3. It was the live stream of the Brazil versus South Korea match, which had drawn 52 lakh viewers or 5.2 million viewers. But Chandrayaan-3, that live stream, broke all records and is now the most watched live stream ever. A stream titled Crew Demo 2 by SpaceX and the one titled BTS Butter Official MV occupy the 4th and 5th places with 41 lakh and 37.4 lakh views respectively. Along with that, Apple's iPhone 14, the launch event of that phone in 2022 had 3.69 million views, while the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard defamation trial hearing in the year 2022, that had 3.55 million views. Chandrayaan beating all records. Moving on now, in a move which is seen as another step towards normalcy, the Manipur government will start handing over prefabricated temporary houses to violence-affected, displaced people. Now, these houses will be given to those families whose houses have been either gutted in arson or completely damaged.
In what seems to be the first step towards rehabilitation of the victims of Manipur violence, the state government has started handing over prefabricated houses to displaced families. Chief Minister N. Biren Singh handed over temporary homes constructed by Manipur Police Housing Corporation at Sajua Jail Complex in the Imphal East district.
aduga moibu khundalai dan nai sekagi ihan han bai khoi gi thawoi aduna sigi prefabricated sekoi mafam nipan da sangat sangat pagi khoi thawoi.
The prefabricated houses will have a room and bathroom. Drinking water will be supplied through pipelines from the connected plastic water tanks. Water can also be fetched from the ponds that are being dug in the area. Electricity connections will be provided, along with free gas cylinders and ovens. But for the victims, this is only a transit stop. They yearn to go back to their villages.
ये वाला घर तो बहुत छोटा है, कमरा भी छोटा है, लेकिन बस लड़का भी है, लड़की भी है. इस कमरे में ऐसा रहना नहीं चाहता हमको, इसीलिए हमारा गांव में वापस जाने के लिए जल्द से जल्द कोशिश कीजिए.
The Manipur Chief Minister earlier announced that around 4,000 prefabricated houses would be constructed in different districts for the people displaced in the ethnic violence. Government sources say houses are being handed over in the valley region first and later in the hills. With BM Sanju in Imphal, in Guwahati, Ratndeep Chaudhary for NDTV.